Welcome csc102 class, and I'm going to give a shot at using Google Docs again for one of our assignments that we usually use Word for, and I'm going to try it with the styles assignment. And I know already that there's going to be some differences, so I'm just going to give it a shot and see what happens. I know I can't do tab leaders and things like that, but I'm here on my computer and I'm going to use my work file, the one that says last name, and I'm going to drag that into my Google Drive, and I have a Word folder already set up, and I'm going to drag that in there, which is uploading it. And it'll show up with the Word icon because it recognizes the docx on it. This is the one. So let me open up that one. And it'll preview it first, and you want to open it in Google Docs. And here it is to start. And the finished product is going to look like this. And I open these PDFs up actually in my browser. So here's the sample of what it should look like when it's finished. Notice there's a 1/4-inch indent. There's tabs that are set, right tabs that are set. There's leaders that are used here. There's space before here. There's space before here. There's space before here. The idea is to use styles so that you can just format some of these and then just kind of use the styles and apply formatting that way. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to look at my instructions here, and these are going to be different because I don't have instructions for Google Docs. But I already opened it up, and my Show Hide button, I mentioned in Google Docs, I can actually use an add-on to activate that extension. And it's activated. Now I'm turning it on, and there's all the returns. So there's all the invisible or formatting marks or invisible characters, whatever you want to call them. You can see there's tabs already in here, so we're not going to have to put tab characters in, and meaning you won't have to hit the tab key, but there'll be when you set the tab will go right to that one. So we'll be able to do that. So let's just see how this goes from the instructions. So my first instruction, after opening up and turning on Show Hide, it says make the first line. So we'll just focus on the first line, the one that's in red, and we'll make it red, and we'll make it bold, 14 point. There's a space before of 18 point, and there's a right align tab at 6 inches. So there's a couple things there. So there's character formatting, bold, 14 point red, and there's paragraph formatting, space before of 18 point, and a right tab. So I'm going to go do those. I'll do the character first, and I'll just highlight this, and I'll make it red, just a basic red, and I'll make it 14 point, and I'll make it bold, and that's the character formatting. And then for the paragraph formatting, if you remember on the other assignment for Google Docs, I went to here to line spacing, and I used custom spacing, and I'm going to put 18, and I'll apply that. And then also we have to set a tab, and remember that we can't go to format tabs. We actually have to go right on the ruler, and it says the tab set at 6 inches, and it's a right align tab. It says right align tab, so that we can do. So I'm just going to go over here and click right on the ruler and say right tab, and just move it around and make sure it's on 6. And that's all we'd have to do. So that's something exactly we could do in Google Docs that would be the same way in Word. Not done the same way, but it would look the same way. So that's one style there. Now, what it says to do here is create a style so that we could use it for other things. So we don't have to do that again. So I'm going to try and create a style. That's the point of this assignment. Now with this highlighted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Format, and I'm going to go into Styles. They do have styles, but you cannot give them custom names. So you can't go in and call them, categories and software and things like that like we can in Word. What you can do is you could go into Format, you could go into Paragraph Styles, and if you go into Heading 1, because that's kind of the biggest one, I'm going to go into Heading 1, and they have Update Heading 1 to match. Now what that means is your style that you just created there, the formatting that you just did, is going to be called Heading 1. So you're just updating Heading 1 to match your style. So I'm going to use that. That way, for any of your other headings, let's say, just for example, word processing software, here's spreadsheet software, I could go into here and highlight that, and if I go and give that a style, and I think you could apply styles right from here, you can see Heading 1 has that style. So that inherited the style that I just gave it, although it did not put the tab in, apparently. Doesn't look like it held the tab, because this one has the tab unless I did something wrong. So let me highlight that again, make sure I got everything in here, make sure I highlight it all the way past, and I'll just go to Format, and I'll go into my Paragraph Styles. I'll go to Heading 1 again, and I'll say Update Heading 1 to match, and that worked. And let me go here and let me apply this to Heading 1 again. Okay, so for whatever reason, it doesn't look like it's keeping the tab in there, so I'd actually have to go in there and do a right tab stop, which is not very helpful. unless I'm doing something wrong, but I'll try this again. So that's one style. So heading 1 is basically all the software categories in here. Presentation software, I could go in here and give it a heading 1 and apply heading 1. Yeah, it's still not, it's giving the space, it's giving the formatting, but it's not keeping the tab inside there as paragraph formatting. So that might be an issue. So that wouldn't be helpful using Google Docs for that. But let's see how the rest goes. I'll see how far I can get with this before I get too frustrated. So I'm going to move on to, and again, we didn't name it and do everything that we do in Word. It says Word 2007 through Pages. So this is a whole block of formatting that's here. Word 2000 through Pages. So I'm going to highlight this section, and this is getting an indent. So I'm going to indent this over about 1/4 inch, because that's the way the sample looks. It's indented over 1/4 inch. Now we're not going to be able to put in the leader. We'd have to put in dots, which is, you know, obviously a hassle. And then also what I'll do is I'll set a right, that also gets a right tab. So I'll do it for all the paragraphs. I'll put a right tab stop in there, and I'll make sure it's exactly at 6 inches, and it is. Now we can't put the leaders in there, so I'm just going to leave them out for now, and let me just make sure there's no other instructions in here as far as spacing or anything like that. Tab at 6, right alignment, left indent, no, that's it. So now we're going to make that a style, and I guess we'll call it heading 2, because that seems to be the second one moving down. So what I'll do is I'll go to Format, I'll go to Paragraph Styles, and heading 2 will be that one. So I'll say update heading 2 to match what I just did. And I just did that. Now let's see if I did these in heading 2. If I highlighted these and I made them heading 2, and they're not picking up the tab. So that's kind of an issue that we'd have to keep setting the tab for that. So that's kind of a pain. But let me try the third one here. And I'm going to go in here, and the next one after that is the general formats one. And it says make the font Calibri bold and blue. Also give a left indent of 0.25 and do a space before of 6 point. And it's also going to have the tab. So let's see how that works. So, and again, that's this one. We're talking about this paragraph, that line right there. So that's what I'm going to try to do there. And I'm just going to format it. I'll highlight it. I'll make it blue. And I'll make it Calibri. We should have Calibri. And I'll make it bold. And I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to set the tab. And the indent. The indent is just grabbing this bottom arrow, moving it over. It's also going to have a space before of 6 points. So I'm going to use this line spacing and go to custom and put 6 in here. And that's the way it should look. And then there's also the tab, which would be a right tab stop, which would be set at 6. So the tab would be set up, and I'm also going to make that a style. So I'm going to go into Format. I'll go to my Paragraph Styles, and I'll make that heading 3, because that's kind of the third one that we did. So I'll say update heading 3 to match, and then we have that one. So we actually have the styles, 3 styles all set up. If you look down this list here, we have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and they're basically set up except for the leader and except for the tab set. These 4 here would actually get the heading 2, and the general formats would get the general formats. And this one would get a heading 2. And sometimes what you could do is make them all, you could actually, what's easier is just to highlight all the way down the rest of the document and make them all, whatever the most styles are, like heading 2, make them all heading 2. And then I could go here and just kind of pick out the heading 1. And then I could go here and pick out a heading 1. And then wherever I see another one that says kind of software and extension, I'll make that a heading 1, and graphic software is a heading 1. And here's another general formats. I'll make that's a heading 3, the general formats. And everything got moved to the next page a little bit, and that's actually by intent, because we're supposed to actually adjust this a little bit, and we'll see if we can do that with Google Docs. But one thing we could do here, even though our styles got kind of messed up because it's not saving the tab, we could really highlight everything here. Well, not everything. It would be, I'm not sure why that's going to a new page. Not sure at all why that's going to another page. But you know, like I said, this is the first time I'm using Google Docs to try this out. So let me highlight everywhere from here down. And if I wanted to, since they all have a right tab, I could go in here and add a right tab stop and make sure it's at 6. And that way I could kind of apply it to them all at once. And that way, that would be, other than the dots, that would be kind of set up the way it should. Other than this, I have no idea why this is bumping that to the next page, so I'll have to find that out. One thing I wanted to see is if I can edit a style so that I can actually take that 18 point and kind of change that. So let me go in here, and I'll just go into one of these that have that style, because I think one of the instructions on here is to kind of modify the one and kind of change it so that it's not 18 point, it's 12 point. And then you could also change the color to purple. So let's see if we could do that. So let's go into heading 1, and I'll use this, and it says update heading 1 to match, update heading 1 to match. So we can't really edit styles. We can't really go into a place and modify styles. All that we can do is go on this one and change the color to purple, and then go to the settings for spacing, and I'll make it, instead of 18, I'll make it 12, and I'll apply. And then what I'll try to do is update heading 1 to match. So what should happen is heading 1 should update all the other ones if that works out. So we'll see if that works out. And it did. So that actually updated all of them, which is kind of good. And it pulled them back on the same page other than this. So I'm going to have to find out why that's going on a different page. But so far that worked okay, other than the fact that we didn't have the dots there and that we had to apply. It didn't basically inherit the formatting of the tab, which was not a good thing. But we were able to kind of update our styles by using our styles in there. So it works somewhat okay. So let me find out why this is moving to a different page. Okay, I just looked this up to try and find some kind of a solution for this, and it's really odd. And of course the Google Docs people are blaming Word because it's a Word doc and all that. But I found the solution to this is actually if you highlight this, and because it's in, I don't know, for whatever reason, it almost needs to be a style. If I go here and go to title, and then I say update title to match selection, it fixes it and brings it back. It takes out that strange kind of break that's in here. So I'm still not sure why this is bumping to the next line or not. I thought we had our formatting okay. I think we have our 1 inch margin around there. But if it bumps this to the next line, that's okay. I'm not worried about that right now. But I think everything's okay in here as far as what we could do. So anyway, that's just kind of trying this out in Google Docs and see what happens. Some issues here that we have to deal with, some challenges. Some of it can be done, some of it can't be done, but I just wanted to kind of share that with you.